Hello everyone, welcome to Naomi's Bookshelf. Welcome to another round of TBR Clue. Now, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you'll notice the bookshelf is different than what I normally stand in front of. This is my nonfiction shelf. So I am going to be attempting to put all of my picks for November as nonfiction for Nonfiction November. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I do a game based around the board game of Clue, and I pick prompts out of a mug. I'm currently using my Jane Austen mug. And for example, if I were to pick this one, which is just perfect, it's a nonfiction, I'd have to pick a nonfiction book to reveal 2 cards for the room. Now, I have quite a good record, but at the same time, I'm not perfect. I have been struggling this year. However, I have finally caved in how I can remember what prompts I need to read by adding a Goodreads challenge so I can check it off as I go. And if you want me to make that public, let me know so you can do the prompts that I do. There are 9 prompts. I don't double up, but you could if you wanted to. And it's really up to interpretation. Like, I am not a stickler for what they are. So if you want to, let me know when I can make that a public thing if you are interested. Anyways, let's get into what I read in October so we can reveal rooms or cards or maybe even the whole thing. So for the first prompt, which was a mustard book, or a book that matched my shirt, which was mustard, I have revealed Mr. Green and the Candlestick because I read Elevation by Stephen King, and the letters on that were kind of mustardy yellow. I'm going with it. This is a hard prompt for me every time. I am always wearing the wrong color. For the lounge prompt, which was an actual lounge prompt, I read Time of the Turtle King by Mary Pope Osborne. This is a very short, easy read, which was easy to lounge with. So I am revealing the dining room and the kitchen. For a new to me author, I read The Little Book of Little Brontes, I think her name was Sarah O'Leary. That was an arc that I had from NetGalley, so I did read it, and I reveal The Hall and the Dagger. For an ebook vet, I am currently reading 2 ebook vets, and I will finish at least one of them before the end of the month, which I know I'm going to finish Enola Holmes and The Mark of the Mongoose by Nancy Springer, which I happen to be reading with Krys from Krys's Corner, who inspired my only nonfiction picks for my prompt polls. So definitely interested in finishing that book. So that's going to be revealing The Revolver and The Library. For a book that's the wrong season, I read All's Fair in Love and Christmas by Sarah Monzon. That one reveals the conservatory and the lounge. For an auto by author, I read The Lost Boys at Barlow Theater by Jamie Jo Wright. She is definitely an auto by author. So I am putting in here Mrs. Peacock and The Study. Well, I'm revealing these 2 cards. For the pre-1800s prompt, I have put in there my audiobook where I listen to a great lectures or great courses lecture about ancient Egypt, which is definitely before the year 1800. So I'm counting it because it's about that time era. So I am revealing Miss Scarlet and the Wrench. For the prompt of Mr. Body, I chose to read The Vanishing Vampire, which is a part of the Clue series, and obviously Mr. Body is a character in the series. So that reveals Dr. Orchid and the Lead Pipe. For Mr. Green, I put Peter Pan, and I don't remember why. I think it was because the cover I had green on it a little bit, but yeah, I can't remember exactly. He's also very, he wants everything his way, and Mr. Green is kind of that way, at least in my head picturing. Anyways, yeah, I put it in there. I don't remember why, but I did. So that reveals Colonel Mustard and the Ballroom. So let's see what is left. So my official guess is Professor Plum in the billiards room with the rope. So there's the rope, the Professor Plum, and the billiards room. So I got it. I will do my spinner wheel and let you know the results. So the prompt that I got that I can use if I want is new purchase. I can't remember what I most recently purchased. I haven't been buying books, but I might give myself the liberty to buy a new book. I have my eye on an ebook, which is like $3, but maybe I'll do that. I'm not sure. I really don't think I remember what I purchased recently, which isn't a bad thing. All right, the first room. Let's get into the next one. For other reading plans, obviously, Nonfiction November. I have great hopes for that. I'm also going to be reading for Phase Out Your TBR, which Krys is putting on. I linked their channel down below, and they're announcing video as well. I am excited to read some books for like a Phase 10 game, because I grew up on that game. I'm a mess. I'm sorry. I'll pick it up later. I grew up playing Phase 10 with my grandparents, so it's going to be fun to do that as a TBR game. I think I'll just pick what comes out of here, and we'll see. But yeah, let's get into it. I have a feeling it's going to be really complicated, so I think I'll just pull the prompts out of here without doing the board, and then I'll be able to pull my books right away. That might add a level of difficulty. Let's do it that way. So I will deal these into 9 piles here, the first point being the hall, the last being the study, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's pull our first prompt. And I'm not doing an author jar pull. I'm sorry. It has not been going well. So the first prompt will be a room. So if you're new to my channel, these kind of prompts, like the kitchen, they are up to interpretation. Let's see what I have on my shelves that relates to the kitchen. This one is The Massey Murder. So this is by Charlotte Gray, and this is about a maid, her master, and the trial that shocked the century, which I actually picked up more recently in my book hauling life. So this is about a maid or domestic servant who is 18 years old and quickly confesses to killing her master or her boss when he returns home from work on the front porch. Now, it just looks interesting with the family and the lawyer and the court case. So in my opinion, domestic servant kind of fits in the kitchen realm. So we're going to put this in for our first prompt. Next prompt. So this is going to be for the lounge. And I don't know if I have one of these. Middle grade. I need to think. So this is on my middle grade shelf. And this is Favorite African Folktales, which is edited by Nelson Mandela. I have read this before. I really enjoyed it, so it'd be fun to reread. And these are just really short stories from different African countries. So it's just really interesting to see different myths and mythologies that, you know, we're so common, or we're so used to, like Greek myths and Roman myths. And it's really cool to read some African folktales and myths. So this will be a middle grade one. I might change it out for an actual middle grade book, but this is currently my middle grade nonfiction. For the dining room, testing my knowledge here without having the board in front of me. The prompt is, of course, Colonel Mustard or the color yellow. Well, this is actually good because I could read a war book, which I'm not in the mood for, but I could. Let me think about this. Let's go with this one. This is The Monuments Men, and this is by Robert M. Edsel. This is about World War II, a group of American soldiers who are trying to recover the lost art or the stolen art that the Nazis took. 1, the book is yellow. 2, it's about war, World War II, and it's about soldiers. So I think that kind of counts. I've never watched the movie, but I've been very interested in it, and I kind of want to read the book first. So this is a good opportunity to pick up The Monuments Men for the prompt of Colonel Mustard or the color yellow. For the kitchen. Oh, we almost got a Runaway. This one, I don't know. We got a romance. Can I do a romance nonfiction? Let me see. Actually, I can. I can do this one. Oh, I'm going to ruin the cards. Katharina and Martin. This is by Michelle DeRusha. I have not read this one, but I read a historical fiction about them. So I was very intrigued. This is more of a, okay, well, the subtitle says, a radical marriage between a runaway nun and a renegade monk. So it's maybe not so quite a love story, but it's a very revolutionary marriage about these two people who are never supposed to marry, never mind each other. I really am looking forward to reading this, and I just haven't found the opportunity or time, or the priority, I should say. And so now this is my priority. Next one, which is The Ballroom. Oh, okay, this is an easy one. Used book. So for a used book, I have many choices. Let's go with The Murder of Tutankhamen by Bob Brier. This is the speaker for the Ancient Egypt course that I just listened to, and I've owned his book for a while. I would like to actually get to it. This is kind of a like faux fiction, which is where it's like, what if? It's not been proven or anything, but I would be interested to give this one a try, and I got it from a library sale, clearly, or at the very least, picked it up somewhere, not new store. So I'm excited to pick this one up and prioritize it. For the conservatory. Okay, this one, TBR Vet. I have a lot of those. We should be fine. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna want to listen to an audiobook, and one of the few audiobooks that I have is Homework by Julie Andrews. So this is a book I've owned for a while. I got this at Indigo, but I haven't shopped there in a very long time. So Homework, which it sounds really interesting to me, but it's about basically her, so this is her second memoir, not her first. And it's the beginning at Hollywood when she made her screen debut as Mary Poppins, followed closely by The Sound of Music. So it's about her time breaking into Hollywood and getting work and trying to figure it out. So this might be a really fun one to listen and possibly read along. I hope there's pictures, and if not, I'll survive. I can listen just fine. For the billiards room, we got an audiobook vet. Ooh, which one should I do? Do I have any of these on audio? That's the question. I'm actually gonna switch out Homework for this one. This will be a TBR vet. This one is The Shocking True Story of America's Youngest Serial Killer. So this is called Fiend, and it's by Harold, I'm gonna butcher that. Sorry, it's been a day. And this is about a 14-year-old who was arrested in 1874 after a nightmarish reign of terror over an unsuspecting city came to an end. So this will be my TBR vet, and Nightmare will be, or not Nightmare, Homework will be my audiobook vet. Next one for the library. Okay. This will be good. Mrs. Peacock, or The Color Blue. Now, for this one, I feel like I have a couple really strong options. One of which is this one, Lots of Blue. This is called Dress Codes, and it's by Richard Thompson Ford, and it's subtitled How the Laws of Fashion Made History. So I think that'll be really interesting. It's a very blue back as well, and it just looks like it talks about fashion and history from a very interesting perspective. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. Another option is The Romanovs, but that's a big one. I also have it on audio, or I have access to it on audio, but I don't wanna rush through that one. I've heard really good things about it. So we'll put this one on for tentative reasons. But in case you're new to my channel, you've never heard this before, this is not a set TBR. I can read whatever I want, but I'm gonna try to get to this priority list. Last one, The Study. Last prompt. And we got, this is gonna throw it off, fantasy or sci-fi. I could spin it and make it a science history book or science nonfiction. What do I do? I think I'm gonna have to break from the only historical fiction stuff and, or not historical fiction, nonfiction, and actually put my book club book on the TBR. That would work. I just gotta grab it. So my book club is reading A Forgery of Roses by Jessica S. Olson. This is it seems like it's a YA fantasy about a portrait maker who can Let's see, it says, she is an artist whose portraits alter people's real-life bodies, a talent that she must hide from those who would kidnap, blackmail, or worse, in order to control it. Guarding that secret is the only way to keep her younger sister safe now that their parents are gone. So, it's a not sci-fi, but it's a fantasy book, and I guess I'll be able to squeeze it in, even though it's not nonfiction. Okay, so that is my Nonfiction November TBR. Let me take a quick look at the prompts and see what they align with. And if not, I'm pretty happy with 8 nonfiction anyways. So I have figured out, I'm only putting 1 per each prompt. I figure, you know, if I hit the prompts, it's wonderful. And if not, wonderful too. So for capital, I'm putting the Monuments Men because every single letter on this cover is capitalized. It's also about like things that are of great value, but I figure capitalized letters works. Then for web, I'm putting in favorite African folktales, which is edited by Nelson Mandela. This is about a bunch of animals and storylines that are set in Africa. And if I remember right, spiders featured in some of those stories. So that should work. For fraud, I will be going with the murder of Tutankhamen. So obviously some sort of fraud happened in history, but also this could be considered supposed history as it's not been proven. But I would like to see what Brier thinks personally in this book. And then the last one, which is display, we're going to do dress codes, which is by Richard Thompson Ford, because fashion is how we display ourselves. You know, we put ourselves on display by what we choose to wear and how we wear it. And I think that will be a nice tie-in. So the last few things of note are the challenges that I partake in and the books I need to read for that, which none of them are nonfiction, unfortunately. So for the first one, which is the Book Covered Book Club, I'm going to be reading 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I'm sorry, I don't have pictures here. I am trying to figure out my editing system still. But anyways, that one has some ripped pages on the cover, which is the prompt for the Book Covered Book Club. The Agatha Christie prompt this month for the Read Christie 2023 prompt or challenge is to read a book that has greed as a motivation or a theme. So this is one of the last Agatha Christie books I need to read. Peril at End House. This one I don't know anything about, so let's read this back side together. The back cover. On holiday at the Cornish Riviera. Well, that's bad news because Poirot never can have a holiday. Hercule Poirot is alarmed to hear that pretty Nick Buckley described her recent accidental brushes with death. First, on a treacherous Cornish hillside, the brakes on her car failed. Then on coastal path, a falling boulder missed her by inches. Later, an oil painting fell and almost crushed her in her bed. So when Poirot finds a bullet hole in Nick's sun hat, he decides that this girl needs his help. Can he find the would-be killer before he kills his target? Interesting. I am excited to pick this one up and see what Peril at End House is like for the motivation of greed. For the Golden Girls Readathon reading challenge, the prompt is to have a word that, like a lie in the title, lie as a word in the title. And so one of the few books I own that I would like to get to eventually is The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. Her books are not a masterpiece, but they are wonderfully easy and quick to read. So hopefully I can really enjoy this one. I have not read a couple of her older books. I read the first one she put out, but this one is still on my shelf waiting to be read. So it'll be nice to get to this one. And then the last book that I need to read is for the Buzzwordathon, which the prompt is to have good in the title. If I remember right, if I remember wrong, I will change the book. But if I remember right, the series title can have the word as well. So for that, I'm going to be doing Killjoy, which is by Holly Jackson as well. This is the prequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So hopefully I can fly through this novella. I've been meaning to read it for a while and it should be fun. So this will be also on my to-read list. So for the Phase 10 readathon, which Krys is hosting, I have picked out my 2 sets of 3. So I'm going to be going with 3s and 7s. Yes, 3s and 7s. Okay, so For my threes, the first one I'm going with is the green 3, which is the prompt of a single POV. I figure a memoir is gonna have a single POV. I'm just assuming, but that would make sense to me. So that will be for my first green 3. For the blue 3, it is a new to you author, so I will be putting on The Monuments Men, as I've never read from Robert Edsel before. And for the yellow 3, it has an image on the spine, and I will be reading Fiend because there is a picture of him on the spine. For the 7s, the first one is gonna be the yellow, and that is no people on the cover. This one technically doesn't, even though this is a shadow of somebody. So no people on the cover, just shadows. I'm gonna take it. The blue 7 is your favorite color on the cover. I'm really different than a lot of people, I think, and my favorite color is brown. So this one has brown on the ground here, so dress codes will be my favorite color on the cover. And the green 7 is my last card, which will be a hardcover. And this is a hardcover. So I will be able to work it all into being nonfiction, books I've owned, but also just really prioritizing nonfiction in November. And hopefully I'll get a good reset for December. That will be my entire TBR. I know I am probably going to burn out on nonfiction, but I'm excited to read all that I can. So please let me know in the comments what you are reading for November, if you're doing Nonfiction November, or if you're doing the Phase 10 one, or a different one. I'd love to know. Also, if you have a favorite nonfiction book, I'd love to hear that in the comments as well. Please give me your recommendations. I'm always looking for more nonfiction. I also would love it if you gave this video a like and subscribed if you are new here, and hit that notification bell if you would like to. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.
In a house that I don't know,